Hi LCS students, it's Mrs. Peterson here, and we're going to be making artwork today inspired by artist Romero Britto. Now, you should have already watched a video where you learned about pop art, which is popular art that has very bright colors and bold lines, and you also learned about artist Romero Britto. And we talked about how Romero Britto liked to use a lot of pattern, and he liked to use thick black lines. So the first thing that we're going to do when you get your paper is I'm holding my paper vertically today, which means it's up and down. When I have my paper, I'm going to write my name in the middle, and I'm going to write my room number. And then I'm going to flip my paper over so I can't see my name anymore. So I'm just gonna flip it, and then I'm ready to start my artwork. Now, for this project, you're going to need to start off with a pencil, and you're also going to need a ruler or some other type of surface that you can make a flat line with. So I'm going to start by putting 3 or 4 random lines on my paper. These lines are going to be straight, and I'm going to draw them with my ruler. So I'm going to do one line, another one here, 2 lines, and then maybe one down here. Now remember, if you get stuck, you may pause this video at any time. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a black Sharpie, and I'm going to be tracing the lines that I just drew. I'm going to take my Sharpie, and once again, whenever I trace my lines with a ruler, I'm going to use my ruler and line it up. I'm going to take my Sharpie, and I'm going to trace my lines. And when I trace lines with a ruler, I always like to turn my paper. That makes it a little bit easier for me. So now I'm going to turn my paper, and I'm going to make my next line. I'm going to trace this line. And then I'm going to put my paper back in the vertical position. Okay, so that was step 1. I used my ruler and I made a couple of lines on my paper. Now, the next step is we're going to be making a flower for this project. So you can either copy my flower or you can draw your own flower. So what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to start on my paper, and I'm back to using my pencil. And I'm going to draw a circle in the middle of my paper. Okay, once I have that circle on my paper, I'm going to start drawing some petals. Now, for my petals, I can make them all kinds of different shapes. I could do triangles, I could do skinny petals, I could do thick petals. I think for this project, I'm just going to do curved lines. And remember, as I said before, if you make a mistake or if I'm going too fast, you can always go back in and pause this video. So that's part of my flower. Now I'm thinking about the other things that I could add to my flower. I'm making my drawing nice and big. Maybe I want to add a leaf over here. Maybe my flower wants a stem. Maybe another leaf down here. This is totally up to you because this is your drawing. You can do it however you'd like. You do not need to copy my drawing. So now that I have my flower drawn and it's nice and big and I'm happy with it, I'm going to put my pencil away and I'm going to go back in and I'm going to trace all of my lines with my Sharpie marker. And once again, when I trace, I always like to turn my paper. That helps me trace and helps me stay on top of that line. So I'm just going in, taking my time, and I'm doing my very best tracing. Stem. And then I'm finished and I've traced my whole drawing. Now the next step is we're going to go back in and we're going to add some pattern like Romero Britto did for his drawing. Now, the trick is whenever I hit one of these lines, I'm going to stop my pattern. So let me show you what I mean. Let's say I'm doing stripes. This is my line that's repeating for my pattern. As soon as I hit these lines right here, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to cross that line. Whenever I get to another line, I'm going to stop. So maybe in the other part of this flower, I want to do polka dots. And you do not have to fill your whole project with flowers. With patterns, that's up to you. You can do some of it with patterns, some of it without. Try to think of some different ideas. So maybe in here, I want to do a checkerboard. But I'm only going to the line right here, and I'm going to stop. Yeah, I want to do some swirls over here. And you can also put some patterns in the background. You do not have to do patterns on your entire flower. You can just do part of your flower. Maybe I want to do a curvy line over here. Totally up to you. So I'm gonna pause this, and when you come back, you're going to see some more pattern, and I'll be finished and ready for the next step. So during that pause, I just went in and I filled in some extra patterns on my paper using my marker. So I did some zigzag patterns and some polka dots and some stripes. So now I'm ready to color. I'm going to be using marker and colored pencil for this project, but you are more than welcome to use whatever you have at hand. So I'm going to start off by coloring my flower with the marker. So when I color with my marker, I'm going to be coloring different sections at a time. I'm not going to do it all at once. So once again, I like to move my paper when I'm coloring. That just makes it easier for me. I'm going to go in and I'm going to start to color my pattern on my flower. I'm just going in. I'm doing my very, 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 very best coloring. Now, when I get to a line like down here when my pattern switches, I'm going to stop coloring and I'm going to use different colors. So let me finish that section. And these were just markers I had around my house. I actually don't have a lot of art supplies in my house, even though I am an art teacher. Most of them I keep at school. So that's why I'm using these markers and colored pencils. As I said, if you have crayons, you can very easily do this project with crayon. You don't even need a Sharpie marker at all. You just trace your black lines with crayon. So all I did then was I went in and I started to color one section at a time. And then I'm going to pick completely different colors for the next part of this. So if I'm going to my polka dot pattern, I'm going to go in and I'm going to color that. With completely different colors. So I'm going to work on finishing coloring this, and I'll get back to you when I'm completely finished with my flower. I'm finishing up coloring the last little part of my flower with marker. As I said, I always like to turn my paper when I color, so I'm almost finished. Now, my flower really pops out against the background of my paper. So I don't want to use marker for the background of my paper. Instead, I'm going to use something lighter. So I'm going to be using these colored pencils. Now, when I color my background, instead of pressing hard, I'm going to press very softly so that my background stands out but not too much. I'm using these twistable colored pencils, but as I said, you can use whatever you have on hand. So I'm just going in and I'm coloring my background, and I'm doing my very, 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 very best coloring. Once I'm finished with one color, I'm still going to make a pattern, so I'm just going to get my next color, and I'm going to continue working on that pattern. I'm use my best craftsmanship, which means I'm taking my time and I'm doing my very, very, very best work. So I'm going to keep coloring, and when I catch you again, I'll have this project finished. So now I've colored most of my background. I'm just finishing up these last couple of polka dots. And then my project is finished. I can't wait to see the masterpieces that you guys have made. Now, to quickly review, we made artwork like Romero Britto. We used black lines that are nice and thick to separate up our paper. And then we added patterns wherever those lines were separating different parts of our project. We used our best craftsmanship, which means we colored nice and neat, to do our flower first with marker, and then we finished it up with colored pencil. I cannot wait to see what you guys made, and I look forward to seeing you soon.